This is from a book of Grimm's fairy tales. The Frog Prince. Once upon a time, there lived a king and a queen. They had 3 beautiful daughters, but the youngest princess was so lovely that she gladdened the heart of everyone who saw her. She was a merry child, and her favourite toy was a golden ball which sparkled in the sunshine. One summer's day, the sun shone from a cloudless blue sky, and there was not a breath of wind to stir the air. It was so hot that the little princess decided to play in the shade of the wood. Slowly she walked amongst the trees, and their long shadows were cool and soothing after the glaring heat of the sun. Soon she could hear the sound of splashing water, and, following the sound, she came upon an open glade where a fountain tumbled into a silvery pool. What a lovely sight! With a cry of delight, the princess threw her ball high into the air and ran to catch it. But to her dismay, the ball slipped through her fingers, rolled over the ground, and fell into the pool. With a cry of alarm, she knelt by the pool and tried to reach it, but the ball quickly sank from sight. How she wept at the loss of her precious toy. Her tears fell into the pool, and ripples spread over the still grey water. Suddenly she heard a little voice. "Princess, why do you weep so sadly?" it said, and to her surprise there sat a green frog on a large lily pad. The princess sighed deeply. "I have lost my golden ball," she explained, wiping a tear from her cheek. "I fear it is gone forever." The frog spoke again. "If I find your ball for you, you must promise me something in return," he said solemnly. "I will promise you anything," cried the princess. "You must promise me that I can eat from your own golden plate and sleep in your own golden bed, and then I will fetch your golden ball," said the frog. The princess did not like the sound of this at all. "I will pretend to agree to what he says," she decided. "But as soon as I have my ball, I will run home and he will never be able to find me." And so that is just what she did, and the poor frog was left alone on his lily pad. That evening, as the princess sat down to eat, she had forgotten all about the frog in the pond, but the frog had not forgotten her. He had found his way to the palace, and at that moment was sitting outside the door. Suddenly the princess heard a small voice. "Open the door, my princess dear. Open the door to your true love here, and remember the words that you and I said by the fountain cool in the greenwood shade." "Who is that, my daughter?" asked her father, the king. Then the unhappy princess explained all that had happened in the wood, and her father looked grave. "You must honour your promise," he said. "The frog kept his word, and now you must keep yours." The princess opened the door with a heavy heart, and there sat the frog. Slowly she returned to her seat, and the frog followed. Flip, flop, flip, flop. The queen, the princess's 2 elder sisters, and all the ladies in waiting shuddered with horror as the warty little creature passed by, and when he hopped upon the table, they moaned and hid their faces in their napkins. The princess wrinkled her beautiful nose in disgust as the frog crept closer to her plate, and with a long, darting tongue, ate up her peas one by one. At last he sat back and yawned. "Now I am sleepy," he said. "Please take me to your room, for I wish to sleep upon your pillow." The princess was horrified. She looked imploringly at her father, but the king shook his head. "It may seem hard, little daughter," he said, "but you must do as he asks. A promise is a promise." So she carried the frog upstairs, and soon he lay fast asleep upon her silken pillow. The princess vowed she would not sleep a wink all night, but after a while her eyelids drooped, and soon she too slept. The next morning when she awoke, the frog was nowhere to be seen. "At last I am rid of the horrid creature," thought the princess to herself. But she spoke too soon. That evening, as she sat down to eat her meal, the same little voice could be heard outside the door. "Open the door, my princess dear, open the door to your true love here, and remember the words that you and I said by the fountain cool in the greenwood shade." There sat the frog once again, and once again he asked to eat from her plate, and once again the princess had to do as he wished. There he sat upon the linen tablecloth, and the ladies in waiting shrieked in disgust as the little creature happily licked the cherries on top of the ice cake. When he had eaten his fill, he asked to be taken to the princess's golden bed, and there he slept as before upon her silken pillow. The little princess had no choice but to sleep by his side, and after much shedding of tears she fell fast asleep beside him. The next morning the sunbeams crept through her bedroom window, and as they touched her soft cheek, the princess awoke. She opened her eyes slowly, dreading the sight of the frog beside her on her pillow, but he was nowhere in sight. Instead, she found herself gazing into the eyes of the most handsome prince she had ever seen. "Sweet princess, please accept my deepest thanks," he said as he took her hand. "You have saved me from a wicked spell. An evil witch turned me into a frog and banished me forever to the fountain pool. The only person who could break the spell was a princess who would let me eat from her plate and sleep on her pillow." The prince stroked her hair gently. "You did this for me, ugly as I was, and now the spell is broken and I am free." He knelt upon one knee. "Please marry me and share my happiness forever," he begged the princess. The princess agreed at once, and so they were married, and when the wedding was over, a white coach pulled by 8 white horses pulled up outside the palace. It was driven by faithful Henry, the prince's servant, and as the happy man jingled the reins, the joyful couple drove off to begin their new life together.